future isn't something we wait for. It's something we build. Welcome to Building Tomorrow with Fatima Bokar, where bold ideas meet real solutions. From innovation to leadership, economics to sustainability, we bring together visionaries, change makers, and experts that drive the conversation that shape Nigeria's future. Are you ready to think big, act smart, and be part of something greater? Join the movement. Subscribe, watch, and let's build tomorrow today. Hello and welcome to another enlightening episode on Building Tomorrow. I am Fatima Bokar. Building Tomorrow is a platform dedicated to sparking impactful conversations and exploring practical solutions to the challenges in our society. It's about equipping individuals with the knowledge, inspiring action, and driving meaningful change through insightful conversation, expert perspectives, and real-life solutions. One conversation at a time. We're going to go on a short break. Don't you go nowhere. We'll be right back with the mind, body, and soul. Welcome back to Building Tomorrow, the show where ideas meet action to inspire change and shape the future. Today we're exploring a powerful idea: the healing beyond medicine, the power of the mind and the body connection. With me is a distinguished guest, Dr. Mariam Omishari Bakari, who is an empath doctor. It's a pleasure to have you, Dr. Mariam.
Thank you, Fatima. It's nice to be here with you today.
I can't wait to dive in, so let's dive right in.
Okay.
Doctor, what exactly is the mind-body connection and why is it important for our overall health?
Okay, thank you once again, Fatima. When you talk about the mind and the body connection, they are like inseparable twin. You know, when you have a certain experience, they come together. So it really, but you know, in the natural world, you can want to separate them. But for these ones, they are inseparable. It means when something happens in the mind, it begets another thing in the body. And if it's ill health in the body, there's something going on in the mind. That's the way we've been created. Haven't you wondered sometimes when you have what we call, people usually call whitlow, paronychia, it's just on one of your fingers and yet you can't sleep. It's achy, and yet it takes away your sleep. It doesn't just end there because they are connected. So what it means is whatever we experience in life, whatever happens to us in the physical, it also has the emotional part to it. It has the social part to it, and all other aspects of the things that make us human beings. They constitute this mind-body connection. And in fact, to really buttress that, the World Health Organization defines health. You know, health, we all talk about health. It defines health as a state of complete physical, emotional, social health, and in fact, recently, economical health, and not just the absence of infirmity or illness. So that shows you can't pick one and isolate it. You have to consider it together. And that's why you don't sleep and you have headaches. You wonder why. I mean, headache should be on its own, while insomnia, sleep should be on its own. But it's never like that. We're created in such a way that they are always working together.
So how do stress, emotions, and mental state affect physical health? Like, can thinking positively really improve our outcomes?
Thank you. Of course. Even from that little talk we've had, you will see that when we are stressed, what do we really call stress? There is this normal level of a bit of what we call stress, what is eustress, that's EU stress, is that which, oh yes, I've got promotion, I'm so happy, there's much more demand from me, but you know, this is fine, it just comes, like a fluke and that's it. But the ones that becomes problem is the ones that comes with emotional turbulence. It comes with a lot of anxiety, and that becomes distress. So what happens? Let's do a bit of science. You know, if you remember your biology, when they were teaching us biology in secondary school, they would talk about what makes up human beings. They talk about cells, those little
Sure.
cells, and then it builds up to what tissues, and then the tissues comes to become organs, and then organs become system. And when you talk about system, you start talking about nervous system, talking about endocrine system. You remember the system, respiratory system, and all those systems. So you can see that it's a build up from something very little, right? But when stress comes, when our emotions are being distorted one way or the other, especially in the negative zone. We know when you're in distress, it's in the negative zone, right? It causes the release of some, we call them hormones. They are neurochemicals in our body that are not desired to be on overdrive. Example, adrenaline. I'm sure so many times you hear, what do you do when you see a lion? As we're here now, we just see a lion run. Whoa, what do you do? You know, it puts you either in a state of fight, right? Flight, or sometimes freeze.
Yeah.
Alright, you just know. The same thing happens every time we go through the cycle of stress. It's on overdrive. So you cannot imagine when this is like on an everyday basis, you go through that. This adrenaline, this cortisols, they are always being released. And what do? They promote ill health in some way. How? They promote what we call inflammation in our body. It could be any part of our body. I don't know, when was the last time you were fearful? What happens? What happened to your heart? If it usually feels like it's going to jump out.
I think the last time I was fearful was when I was driving, right? And then so I was trying to get after my siblings, right? And someone just put his hands inside the car
Right.
and just held the key. And I just turned, I just looked at him like, what are you doing? And then my reaction made him freeze. And I was like, he just removed his hands and just like,
In that instance, yes, you were active. How did you feel? How did your heart react? Most likely, it will be beating very fast.
yeah,
Because it's trying to meet up with this new unexpected situation and all that. So, and then in your mind, you're like, is it that I have to do one thing? Is it that I fight back? That was why you're like, what do you want? Or you flee. Just, some people are so panicky. You just, jump out of the car and then you flee. But that's for the physical. You can imagine something happening in your mind, which is the seat of emotion. You really can't run away from it. As you run, it's going with you. So when we're in the negative zone, those hormones, those neurochemicals that we don't really desire, they are on overdrive and they are causing havoc. But when we are so lucky to have good support in a system, or you have a friend, a dear friend that will talk you out of it, or you already empowered yourself to, pick some tools and then use it, and then you're able to put yourself in this positive state of love, of joy, it automatically, in that instance, erases most of these negative emotions. And when it neutralizes it, you feel better. All right? Unlike you're just there, mopping, sobbing, tearing, and all of that, and it's like there's no respite.
what do you do when you find yourself in such a situation?
What you do when you find yourself in such a situation is, first, before we even talk about that, there's something, let me quickly say something about, there's something we call I targets the TEA, that's T model
Negative
for human being, that's T, right? The T is for thoughts, what you think.
thoughts.
Yes, like that scenario you painted. There's been a thought will jump at you, like, why is he here? Is he here to harm me? What does he want to do? He wants us to have an accident or something. So it depends on how you now react to, if you heighten it. And that thought takes you to the emotion. You must feel something. We are, you and I and everyone, we are just a mixture of different thoughts and feelings per time. As we are seated here, we have many bites of thoughts flying through our heads. But what are you trying to do? You try to bring yourself to this moment. You try to bring yourself to that state you'd rather be, right? And after the A stands for action or act or behavior. So when the thoughts relates to the feelings or relate to the emotions, then it takes you to the actions. All right.
Okay.
So the action you want to take when you find yourself in a stressful situation would first come from the thoughts of it. What's your thought around it? And that's what I'm talking about. Be in the positive. Yes, it doesn't mean that your problem is over. For example, we have patients or we have people who say they have terminal illness, like cancer. And then if they catastrophize it, meaning make it look so worse. Yes, the situation is there. Yes, nobody's arguing that. when you see some, so many researches have been done where those that have a better support group, those that have more empowering situation around them, in fact, they live a bit longer than predicted. Unlike those that are wallowing in their situation, they are really looking at the worst. Well, the worst that can happen is what they are thinking of. So those ones go into depressive states. They are just there with no hope. So going back to your question, what you do is you take yourself practically from that undesired state to a more empowering state. Well, it's not like you're going to just take yourself and walk, just walk through it. It is from your thoughts process. Like, okay, this could have been worse, but no, I thank God it's not too much. Oh, I have my sister. Oh, I have this friend
Other
with
people
me.
are going through
And
worse.
then, yeah, so to all our listeners, you're not alone. That's one thing that can also help. There are also other people probably going through a whole lot more than you. They do say one thing that if you're in a gathering and you tell people, everybody come drop your problems. The most likely thing is you will prefer to pick your own problem and just
Yeah.
because you will see bigger ones. So you see scary ones that will be like, oh, so scary.
And
You will
that's
see
why
it on the
it's
table. You'll not be like,
grateful,
oh,
grateful.
thank God. So gratitude is one of the very good thing you should in whatever situation. Gratitude, 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 and don't focus on what you don't have, or rather what you have that you're taking for granted. Alright. So I don't know if I spoke to that. And another thing you could also do, you see, is you need to love yourself enough to want to feel better. I really can help you if you are not ready to help yourself. I can come and talk like, oh, Fatima, oh yeah, yes, you can do this. But it needs to come from within. And the whole essence of mind-body connection is healing from within. We are not going to say, oh, don't use medicine or medications. No. You use the medications, but you know that your healing comes from within. And it happens even in the hospital. Every day, there are sometimes I have clients or patients coming. And they came in, probably the person comes in weepy, teary, despondent. I'm like, oh, the world is crushing. And eventually, they won't go out of the consulting room with paracetamol. Because what they needed at that time was a listening ear. And there are quite a lot of people like that. They just want to hear, but they want someone to listen to them. They want someone to share their burden with. And then you look at it that all of this pain they've been going about, spending, they've gone to different places, is like actually psychogenic. It's coming from the psyche. It's coming from the thoughts, their thoughts around that health or that disease entity. So, in being present at that time for them, like, okay, yes, I feel your pains, and they really feel hurt. That alone, they are happy. They will even tell you, doctor, I don't even need any drug. Just listening to you or discussing with you has made me feel better. So one very important thing is mindfulness. Mindfulness.
Wow.
Gratitude, mindfulness, it goes a long way to really change the dynamics of whatever it is that we're feeling per time.
Okay, so what are some common physical symptoms that actually stem from emotional or mental distress?
Okay. We started with mind-body connection. So thank you for this question now. Yeah, talking about physical symptoms. Remember we said that we already established it that the connection is in that when something happens in the mind, it gives you some reason to bother in the body and vice versa, right? It could be as little as physical pains that you could practically, I don't know if you've met people, they will tell you this back pain, my sister, if I tell you it's been there for decades. Alright. They've taken all the medications that you can ever think of for pains and analgesics, right? And it's not helping. It could be just pains. Sometimes it could be their hearts racing, just like when you painted that scenario. And when your hearts do that, like almost on everyday basis, you are in a fearful state. What happens to you? The heart is getting signals from your brain that there's problem, there's problem, there's problem. So that heart keep pumping, it keep working. Down the line, the heart is going to get tired. When it gets tired, you see them with gall, heart failure, this one. Especially those that have family history of high blood pressure, they will start developing hypertensive heart diseases. It could be symptoms of, how do I put it? Like someone that has arthritis, it's swollen, it's that, and then you start wondering, is it just because of what happened, or why is it worsening? Especially, why is it worsening? It worsens because remember those bad guys that are released when we are in stressful states. They've gone to town to cause a lot of havoc, and it will manifest as inflammation. And inflammation will come with pains, it will come with swelling, and then poor sleep, insomnia. You can't sleep because your mind is full. Yeah.
All right, then we're going to go on a short break, and when we come back, we're going to discuss more on the real world impact. Stay tuned. The future isn't something we wait for, it's something we build. Welcome to Building Tomorrow with Fatia Bokar, where bold ideas meet real solutions. From innovation to leadership, economics to sustainability, we bring together visionaries, change makers, and experts that drive the conversation that shape Nigeria's future. Are you ready to think big, act smart, and be part of something greater? Join the movement. Subscribe, watch, and let's build tomorrow today. Welcome back to Building Tomorrow, the show where ideas meet action to inspire change and shape the future. Before we went on a break, I said when we come back, we're going to discuss on the real world impact. Welcome back to the show, Doctor.
Thank you.
Okay, so now the question I have is, can suppressed emotions cause illness? Any real life cases you've seen at your clinic?
Yes. Oh, thank you again, Fatima.
You're welcome.
Can suppressed emotions cause illness? First, I will say, whatever it is in life that we resist persists. Whatever it is. Rather than embracing something, rather than acknowledging that, okay, this is what it is. Like you do say, yeah, it's what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah. So rather than taking that as it is what it is, you're rather pushing it off. Like people say, it's not my portion. It will not happen to me. I know to fear God. You know, people do a lot. The more of that resisting or that resistance you put forward, the more that situation persists. So emotion, what I'm going to use to analyze this, or an analogy I will use is the pressure cooker. I'm sure you use pressure pots,
sure.
right? There's something called pressure cooker or pressure pots effect. What happens with pressure cooker? How do we enjoy it? You keep all the pressure within, right? It's like you lock it in.
Yeah.
You want to cook your beans, you want it to cook
Yeah,
fast,
wow.
everything, succulent, without, this part is hard. So you keep the pressure in. But what happens when at some point a mishap happens, you open it when you shouldn't, you didn't do the right thing, boom. Is that not what happens? It explodes. You really don't want to see pressure cooker accidents. I pray you don't see it.
I've ever seen
Oh,
it.
really? You can Google it and see it could really be very bad. So to our emotion. So our emotion now can be likened to that pressure within the pot. The pot now is us, our body, our system, right? This emotion wants to they want to be let out. The pressure cooker on a good day, if you leave it and you don't lock it in, just like a normal pot. You know, when you use normal pot,
Sure.
you see the vapor, you see the steam coming out, and then there's really no pressure. When you say no pressure. But pressure cooker, you keep it in. So when you do that for your emotion, sooner than you imagine, is either you have an implosion, exploding within, or you have an explosion, an outburst. When you have an outburst, for example, that is when people will label you like, she's aggressive, I think she's not normal, I think she's got problems. That's already, it's a disease state, because you can't go to an event with people, you're going to have an outrage, and they'll be like, what happened? It was just a little thing. Why is she reacting that much? It's because of what she has not let out. Alright? Or it is an implosion. The implosion will help all those things we painted, the bad guys on the streets. It will help her to think the worst of everything. And I'll be like, okay, so now I will die. Since they say my baby is getting higher. So it means I will not live to see my grandchildren. And then one thought begets another. It's a cascade of action or reaction, right? So it can really make us sick. You first be sick in the head or in the mind.
And when you are not, for example, very active because you stopped socializing, you stopped interacting, you're going to add so many kg, you add weight, right? Obesity coming, isn't it? You eat junks. For people that have clinical depression, the practical thing or symptoms you see is aside losing their sleep, aside losing interest in things they ordinarily only love to cook, you'll see them not wanting to do it. They may not even want to get out of bed. Gradually things get worse for them. And when they get to that point, they are pretty sick. They are helpless. So they will have physical symptoms, like I said, they can't even be very ambulatory again. I'm just seeing people that eventually they'll end up on the wheelchair because they lost their loved one. And what did that loved one, the loss of loved one did to them? There was some emotion they didn't really address. They didn't grieve very well. They just felt it's there and they lock it in. So any chance of letting out is going to be a bizarre situation. So that's what happens. The best to do for emotion is to embrace it. Like, yeah, I see you. You acknowledge your emotion. Like, I see you. Yes, I feel sad. And that is why we teach our children, we teach ourselves to be able to label our emotion. Like if I ask you, Fatima, how do you feel now? You should be able to tell me, hey, I feel different. Or I feel happy. I feel sad.
I feel great because I'm around you.
Awesome. So you should be able to label the emotion so that when you see or when you find them, when you identify them, you will know, okay, yeah, this is it. And then you'll be able to go further to help yourself move from that to that which where you really want to be. Yes, I can say it's not a walk in the park, but it's doable. Because you really don't want to get sick. You really don't want to be in a situation where people are not like, hey, sorry. Because so many people come there, PT parties, like, oh, hey, yeah, that alone will worsen the emotional, whatever it is that you've been feeling. It can really, make it deteriorate. All right, so I would say, and I've seen, suppressed emotion can really be bizarre. Yes, since you said a practical example, I once had a man, really. He came around with little boys, like 3 or 2 boys came around. They came to the consulting room with him, and the boys were very fun to be with. They were so happy. But the dad, I didn't know it's their dad, but they say it's their dad. That this just lost his mom to breast cancer. One of the boys lost his mom to breast cancer. So I think weeks prior to that time. I was like, well, as we're talking, because of what I know, I practice holistic medicine, and that's what we do at Empath. I practice holistic medicine, so I could see beyond. Okay, this man it's fine. A guy just flew in from the US because of the death of the wife. Do you know that right there he started crying? And I told him, yes, I'm not going to stop you. Allow it flow. Allow it flow. So you can imagine if he does that. And I told him, as you're traveling back, yes, do your son's papers, go. Ensure that you grieve properly. When people grieve, or when people go through things that are not particularly desirable, you allow them get to the point of acceptance. When you get to the point of acceptance, you're better. You'll be able to take things for what they are, really, and it's not what you think they are. Because when you think they are, you don't sit with it, it could really go the other way. So I was just like, okay, who would think a man like this, with its status and its build and all that will break down. If he had found himself in another place, and like, guy now,
Be a man.
Be a man, man up, muzzle up and all that. And then he muzzles up. After all, he's a man, an African man of that. You understand? And by the time he does that, he's dying within. Because he really misses this woman. They felt, something big has, left him. And then he's also fearful for the boy. There was a whole lot going on. That was when he was able to ask, and I made him comfortable. I was able to ask that, okay, what about this child that she breastfed, when he was little? I said, no problems. There's no problem about that. He's not going to get any cancer cells just by that. So you can see, you can really see, yeah. Because they've been telling him, don't worry, you don't have to, everything is fine. Everything won't be fine all the time.
We're all humans. Whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, just because Men, a lot of men actually face this.
Yeah.
They keep making them to bottle it up because man, you're not supposed to cry. You're not supposed to let your guard down. Which is not supposed to
You
be.
don't do that to emotions. It's going to let itself out. But I can assure you, when it does that, it's usually inappropriate. Inappropriate for situation, or inappropriate for them, or it comes out at a time it's not helpful for anyone. Well, yeah, there are a few things we can do for ourselves.
Wow. Wow. So, doctor, what are some daily habits people can adopt to improve their mental and physical health?
Okay, thanks for that. Before we talk about daily habits, we should first underscore one important entity, and that's the fact that what we go through, like you don't wake up in a day and know what is going to happen to you. Like the scenario you painted, in your wildest dream, you didn't think you be driving or you pull over and then someone comes
Never.
comes for your car key, comes with the ignition. You never imagine that. And that is life. They just say life happens. Yes, life will keep happening. So what do you want to do? And you really can't be prepared anyways. You really can't be prepared. So what it means is the stressful situations, the untoward situations that will happen to us, they are usually automatic. But the things you can do to change the narrative has to be intentional. So what are the intentional things that we can all do to change our situation? So first and foremost is one thing I've mentioned about mindfulness. All right. And I've been I think I was in a gathering, two gatherings in recent time, and we're talking about self-care and all of that. And I asked them that, are you mindful? You're mindful. That's F-U-L-L or mindful. F-U-L. So are you mindful or mindful? So
Which one, doctor? Which one are you?
I'm mindful. Well, F-U-L.
So
That
what's
is
the
what we
difference
should
between
do.
the two?
Yeah, mindful means your mind is full. You are saturated with things that ordinarily you don't have control over them, or you allow them to control you. And then they are bringing you down. They are making you sad. They are making you sick. And when the mind is full, it shuts out normal reasoning. All right, that's the way the brain works. The seat of emotion, it's in one little tiny stuff like that we call the amygdala, seated in the limbic system in our brains. When you allow that to be your default, then you're going to be habitually be in this emotional state, DYS emotional state. But when you're mindful, you know what being mindful, FUL, means you're present. So I'm present with you now, Fatima. It doesn't mean that as I'm here, I don't have a whole lot of things to do. In fact, I have a lot of things to attend to. But I need to be mindful and be in the moment. So the first thing we should all do, our viewers, is be present. And why should we be present? Why should we be mindful of our state per time? The reason is you can't do anything about the past. The line I said a minute ago is my past. Yeah, I can't undo it.
Sure.
Even if someone comes or the director comes and says, yeah, you made a mistake, I cannot do that one.
You can.
But I can correct. Like, okay, let me redo this. Now I've learned that I made a mistake. So how do I move forward? So be mindful is you in the moment. That's what you got. And you don't jump too fast, anxiously into the future. That's what makes us anxious. Like, it hasn't come, but you're like, ha 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 ha. That's number one, mindfulness. And the mindfulness goes with meditation. You sit in quiet. If you love nature, you embrace that. And then breathable work.
So how do practices like meditation, breathing exercise, or journaling help with healing?
So I was going to say that. Breathable work. It emphasizes or it underscores this mindfulness we're saying. How? Let's do a brief exercise. Yeah, we are here doing our stuff, right? Yeah, the whole lot, it looks like, let's paint the scenario, everything is happening around you, hearing, there's a siren everywhere, it's like, you don't know what is happening there. But yet, you want to be present in this moment and be mindful. So now, consciously, remember I said it has to be intentional. You want to intentionally bring your focus and your attention to your breath.
Okay.
So now, we've all seen practical things we hear people say, okay, now you can close your eyes. You can do this with your eyes closed or your eyes
Are you
open.
going to try it?
Yeah, it's okay.
Alright.
It's just a few seconds. We don't even do the full work.
Alright.
So with your eyes closed, bring your attention and all your full focus to your breath now. As you breathe, Follow it and pay attention to it. Take a deep breath through your nose. Ensure you take in all the good that you ever imagined, the joy and the happiness you ever imagined in life. You can take it in 5 seconds and hold it there for like 5 seconds. And breathe out through your mouth. As you're breathing out, have it in mind that you're breathing out all your exhaustions, all your frustrations, all the untoward things and negative things that you can see as they happen to you. So you can see that it's so momentary. Now let me ask you a question.
Okay.
It's just something very momentary. But at that time that you were really focusing, were you able to focus on any other thing? At that time you were focusing on your breath. Were you focusing on, were you able to do other things like think of what to eat, think of what to cook?
I couldn't.
That is the way our mind works. And I want to use this opportunity, I love you viewers, to tell you that there is nothing like multitasking. Your mind, your brain can only attend to one thing at a time. Well, yes, one main thing. Other things can be there, but I tell you, it's one main thing per time. That time as we focused, you're present, you're mindful, you are in that moment. Because you're being intentional. And that is what we should all do. The world is not going to stop for us. The problems are not going to stop for us. But we can take a break. BRAKE. Just like the braking system of your car. If you see yourself like, look at how this road is going, see this way this guy is driving, what do? Apply your brake and let that driver decide. You don't want to just follow suit. So if you don't just follow suit in life, we should take a break. And another wonderful thing you could do, I think you asked about breathing and journaling. Journaling is very beautiful. I enjoy it a lot. If you come, visit me, I have lots of journals. Don't worry. So you pour your mind, mind to pen to paper, mind to notepad, technology has helped us. If you can't even write, if you can't even type, voice it. Voice it, yeah. Just saying it makes you feel better. Because when you say it and you're listening to yourself, you're like, it's not even that bad. But when you leave it in, remember the pressure cuts effect? When you leave it in, you're raging like, this thing is going to consume me, it's going to kill me. But when you say it, when you narrate it, and if it's even writing, it flows, just allow it. And when you go back to it, it's beautiful.
So how does nutrition play a role in the mind-body connection?
How does what?
Nutrition.
Nutrition. You're taking me there. Okay. I'm sure you know the common adage. People say that in general parlance that you're what you eat. We are actually what we eat. You and I, everyone watching us, you're what you eat, yeah. And why did they say that? That's the gut. GUT. GIT. The gastrointestinal tract. So what we simply call gut. Do you know it's been labeled as the second brain? Yeah. They call it the second brain. Why is it called the second brain? The constellation of the things we eat defines our health. We find people, let me be very practical.
Okay.
Now, I can have a client who has hypertension, that's high blood pressure. They could also have maybe their cholesterol level is bad, so their lipid is deranged. We don't just give medication. We're talking about healing beyond medicine. We don't just give medications. Usually we tell them there is dietary modification and lifestyle modification, which has to go hand in hand with whatever prescription we're giving you here today. Because if you just swallow the pills and you don't watch what you eat, you consume a lot of salt, add on salt to your meals, you're still causing a lot of havoc. Fruits, veggies, they've been known to be wonderful. How? Remember those bad guys, right? You don't like bad guys?
The junk food.
The bad guys, the chemicals that you release and all that. When they are on the street, they are ravaging the streets, and the street is your body, your system. It could be any of your system. It could be the respiratory system. It could be your endocrine system when people now have diabetes and all that. But when you eat the right food, like vegetables and fruits, they have what you use to counter them. They have antioxidants. They mop up those radicals. When you say someone, you're a radical. Oh, that's a radical lawyer. You know what that means? They don't mind, and everything can get destroyed or consumed. They don't mind. But those good diets, they will mop it up for you. They will moderate it for you, and it doesn't. It prevents worsening rather than you're consuming junks, lots of sugars, especially refined sugars, lots of salts, and you don't checkmate any of those things. Those ones will promote inflammation, and then these other good guys would help you resolve it. And then so finally we are what we eat. So let's take care of our first brain, which is the seat of our mind, and let's take care of our second brain so that everything can work hand in hand.
So, Dr. Mariam,
Yes.
what's one powerful piece of advice that you give everyone about taking care of both their mind and their body?
Okay, thank you. What I will say, like maybe like a parting shot to our viewers is be present in the moment. That's all you got. Now is what you have. Be mindful and move your body. Yoga, exercise, whatever it is, because they all help. And of course, watch what you eat. When you do all of that intentionally and repetitively, cumulatively, you're going to have your awesome result. So mind and body always connected. You can separate them. Help one, the other side is helped. But when you leave the one side, the other side is helpless. So that's what I'll tell people, our viewers.
I wish we could take more minutes to discuss this because I'm actually learning a lot, and I believe our audience are also learning so much. And I also know that there's someone who's watching that's going through this and has learned a lot from your powerful insights. So that's it for today on Building Tomorrow. As we have learned today, true healing goes beyond medicine, right? It starts with the mind, the heart, and the choices we make daily. A heartfelt thank you to Dr. Mariam for honoring our invitation, and to our awesome audience for joining us. Until next time, let's keep building tomorrow.